Morning. Good morning, ashestorubies family. How's everybody doing today? Good morning, Vicky.
Good morning.
Good morning, Pug. Oh, he's on your yarn. Can you see him in the camera?
No.
Oh, you can see the flowers. The flowers are blocking your dog. What's better than running water?
What's better than running water? I don't know.
A warm fire. What's better than a warm fire?
Is a warm fire really better than running water, though?
I don't know. I like running water, like a stream or just even a tap.
Anyway, keep going. Yeah. What's your thing?
I don't have a thing. There's no thing.
Warm fire.
Warm fire. We don't have a fireplace. Have you ever had a house that had a fireplace?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Rock Street place.
And my house. I've only ever lived in homes that had fireplaces.
Growing up, you had a fireplace.
Yeah.
I grew up in Asia, so we didn't have fireplaces. That would be odd. We didn't have basements either. There's no basements. I guess that's a Florida thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome. We are going to read our morning meditation today and reflect on that throughout the day is what my goal is. And maybe that's your goal too. So let's get our spiritual game on. We are going to, the title is A New Sense of Belonging. So we talk about recovery concepts. We talk about, this is a morning devotional. And so this is more geared towards the alcoholic. And together we make a beautiful combination of true recovery in the sense that we have the opposite ends of the spectrum of codependency and alcoholism, drug addiction, that kind of thing. And then everything in the middle, right? And it all makes sense at some level. So
not when you're in the midst of it, it doesn't.
Not when you're in the midst of it, but yeah, it's we are in recovery together, which is a beautiful thing.
It is.
I enjoy it. You gotta call me.
It's definitely better than when we wanted to kill each other. It's a step up.
Yeah. Or when we needed each other's addictions.
Ooh,
we used each other's addictions.
Yes. I remember the moment that I admitted to myself that I actually wished you'd go back out.
Because you needed some crazy.
I was like, he can't be here all the time sober.
You can't be here sober. Like,
go away.
You're trying to insert yourself. You're trying to be a parent. You actually want to pay bills. Can you stop it?
The crazy cycle that I knew, as much as I hated it, was so familiar.
Yeah.
And so it was hard to shift out of that.
Ugh.
All right, let's read.
Here we go. All right. This is called A Sense of Belonging. And this is a reading out of the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Until we had talked with complete candor of our conflicts and had listened to someone else do the same thing, we still didn't belong. After 4 years in AA, I was able to discover the freedom of the burden of buried emotions that had caused so much pain. With the help of AA and extra counseling, the pain was released and I felt a complete sense of belonging and peace. I also felt a joy and a love of God that I had never experienced before. I am in awe of the power of step 5. In awe. And so I think that is one of our core needs, is this sense of belonging. And I, like, without alcohol, I didn't belong. Like my whole life, as a kid, I can reflect on that of like, I didn't really feel like I belonged anywhere. And then when I found alcohol, I belonged to something, and then it tried to take my life and it isolated me, which made me not belong anymore. So what we're talking about in here is the 5th step, where you actually make an inventory and you look at your life of self-will. And so we go through it, we inventory it, and then we bring it to another human being and to God, and we look at, like, this is my life run on self-will. This is what that looks like. And so the other person hears it and receives it and go, yeah, you fit right in. And you have this sense of belonging. I remember I was at the homeless shelter in rehab. And I remember being so confused of going like, why can't I just stop doing what I'm doing and like get back to life? And I just couldn't do that. And it was so confusing to me that I would leave the house with good intentions on doing, going to the corner store. And this is the progression of my addiction, where I would go to the corner store and not come home for 3 days. Like, I would go out for a pack of smokes at 11 o'clock at night and not come home for 2 days.
Mhm.
Like, that's
I was
not
convinced you were doing it on
that's
purpose.
not functional. I remember coming home on a Sunday and remember, like, I come home and I'm beat. And I just need to sleep because I got to work in the morning. I just need to sleep. I don't need harassment. I'm sorry. I'm like, here's a gift. Like, just let me go to bed. And I remember you going, you did this on purpose. You left on a Thursday night and you did this intentionally. And I'm like, no, I didn't. And then you look at the bank note, you look at the bank statements, you look at the Visa, you look at the transactions, you look at my phone bill and go, yeah, you did. Look at this. I have proof. And I'm like, yeah. I couldn't argue it because it did look like I did it intentionally. But I'm like, whatever's driving me is brilliant.
But when you left the house, you were sure you were just going out to buy smokes.
I was sure that that's all I was going to do, but I didn't do it. And so
I
then,
would have never believed you.
but then it even increases my I don't belong. And so at the beginning, alcohol gives you the promise of belonging. And a codependent relation gives you this promise of you belong, you matter, you count. And then it takes it away.
Right.
And so coming into recovery, being at the Ottawa Mission in early recovery, I remember going like, I'm so confused. Like, I just don't understand. And so they talk about the lack of being able to choose and having no power over drugs and alcohol. And then this is what it does. It reacts in my body differently than a normal person. It causes a craving for more. And I have a mental obsession. I keep going back to it and it's not my choice. And I remember being refreshed with that understanding and going, well, like, what now? And then the introduction into recovery to be able to have a supernatural experience that will relieve me of the bondage of self. But I remember sitting at the table and a guy's on the phone with his wife and we're talking about cars and insurance and some guys like he rigged up his washing fluid from his car with vodka and the line came in and he would squirt I know. And I'm like, I'm not even alcoholic. I've never even thought of that, but that's like brilliant. Like, and we went through and some guy had got caught for drinking and driving. They parked his car on the road and he went to jail and then he got out and he found his car again and then got caught again. Like 2 days. Like, I'm like, so the guy gets off the phone and he's like, my wife could hear everything you guys were saying. She goes, where are you? Like, it's nuts where you are. These guys are insane. And I'm like,
oh, because he was on the phone and you guys were all telling stories.
His wife could overhear us telling stories. And it's like, when we're in recovery, we realize we've done all these things. And I felt like for the first time, people understood me.
But that's a reason that a lot of people stay away from recovery meetings because of those stories. It feels in some recovery meetings that's a lot of what the meeting is like from the front, people telling stories or, that whole thing. And so I think that, it's important to say like, not every meeting's like that.
Yeah.
And to look for a meeting that isn't.
Yeah. Because you could be in coming new into a meeting and you hear somebody's story and they've been to jail 15 times and they've done all this stuff. And it's like, that's not really what the problem is.
Right.
And that could divide a room. So I'm just sharing an experience that actually brought us to closer because we could all understand like the craziness of our addiction. Mm-hmm. But the real belonging comes when I'm able to share my life with self-will running the show with another person and they understand, and then God actually accepts me and I belong to a family. Mm-hmm. I become a child of God. I have a new employer. I have a new director. And so now I have a sense of belonging because when I'm running the show, I'm in charge. Mm-hmm. And so I'm the employer, I'm the director and a producer of chaos. And so now I get to belong to the family of God, which is a beautiful thing.
It can take a long time to get to that place of feeling like that though. I think that was one thing about early days of recovery, man. It's tough to slog that out when you realize like you've alienated your family, you don't have any friends, like your only friends were drinking buddies, and now like you're trying to create this new life, and so we try to make a new life, but we try to like kind of keep everything the same or like kind of be weird, but in the same like way that we were before, the same life that we had before. And that's really tough. I think just if anybody was listening an encouragement to like really stick it out, and that recovery can bring a whole new joy and a whole new set of friends and a whole new life.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's a lot of people that go into recovery with absolutely nothing, really any relationships, but there are, I would say most people go into recovery because alcohol has a negative impact on their life,
Right.
and they go into recovery to get their life back on track. But the one issue with that is you're still trying to fit recovery into your life. And
Right.
so this is about belonging into a whole new life and a whole new family. And so, yeah, there's that tension of crossing over of like, okay, well, what do I have to leave behind? And
Right.
it's not saying leave your job and all of your friends and your family behind. It's saying like abandon yourself, your ego, the that addiction made, and the self that spiritual disconnection from God made, which we're all born into. Yeah.
Well,
so
thanks.
I guess the meditation today is about belonging. Where do I belong? Do I feel like I belong?
And the voice in your head will tell you that you don't belong, but that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. Like you really do belong. And I always find it so amazing that most people that I talk to have that same remembrance of feeling like they don't belong, feeling like they
Without
don't fit
alcohol.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether alcoholic or not, but like, I talk to a lot of people that can identify with that,
Yeah.
And who feel that they don't fit into society or they feel rejected. And I think social media has made that like exponentially worse of feeling on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And it's not true. And we have to fight against the voice in our head that is like, that little devil sitting on our shoulder telling us like, you don't belong. These people don't really care about you. It's not true. That's not true. And we need to press past that. And really, we believe there is a God who says 100% you do belong and created us to belong in this world.
It's good. So as we leave today, we just meditate on belonging and the Spirit of God. You become a child of God, so do belong to the family of God, the kingdom of God. And so we want to connect with you. We have our recovery meeting tomorrow at noon East. Joanne is going to be speaking, bringing a message
every Wednesday
at 12 o'clock. We're on Zoom. And then every morning we do a morning devotional. And then we have LifeLab. If you want to be a part of our LifeLab, it's a 17-week workshop where we guide you into a personal relationship with God. So you can join that. And we will see you tomorrow. Keep the peace and be of good behavior and wash those hands. I washed my hands like 40 times yesterday. All right. Have a great afternoon, everybody. We will